Hello, everyone. This is Nathan Allen from Poets and Quants. I'm an editor and staff writer, and welcome back to another one of our alumni one-on-one interviews for the CentreCourt event. Now we have Guilherme Zaniol, and totally fix that if I butchered it. He graduated with his MBA from Fordham's Gabelli School of Business and now works at Alvarez and Marsal, which I believe is a private equity firm in New York City. Welcome.
So thank you, Nathan. So my name is Guilherme Zim. You're right, and I'm from Brazil. So Guilherme is a pretty Brazilian name.
Yep.
I'm actually a consultant at Alvarez and Marsal. It's a consulting company that works. My practice works mainly with private equity firms and their portfolio companies. As you mentioned, I am a recent MBA grad from Fordham's Gabelli School of Business. Before that, I had 10 plus years of working experience. I started my career at EY in the assurance practice, stayed at EY for 2 years, moved to a family office working with wealth management for a year or so. And then I co-founded and led a family business in the water bottling industry in the south of Brazil. Led the company for over 8 years. And at some point, I realized that I wanted to turn my career and I wanted an international experience. So turned to the MBA to switch to consulting, which was a successfully moved so far.
Yeah, so thanks for that background and context as a starter. That's very helpful. So as an international applicant then, you had spent your early career in Brazil, and as you mentioned, you were looking to get international experience. So what was it about the Fordham's Gabelli School, and why did you end up deciding to go there as opposed to any of the other international schools that you could have gone to?
Perfect. So basically, I was between U.S. business schools and Europe business schools. As I was looking for consulting, it would make much more sense to come to the U.S. It's a much bigger industry here, many more firms and many more opportunities. So firstly, I decided to come to the U.S. Then I really wanted to go to a big city and at the same time be part of a small size program, small size cohort. And Gabelli School of Business offered me that. So basically my whole class is composed by 56 students and we are split between two cohorts. So when you have a class, you have 25, 28 students and the professor knows the name of all the students. The MBA director knows your name. The dean of the school knows your name. So that's a huge difference. In addition to that, I believe Gabelli, there's two things that fits with what I believe a business school should be doing. First one is having the right mindset. We praise business with purpose, and it's not only in a poster, it's not only in emails, newsletters, stuff like that. Every single course that I took at Gabelli had that as part of the foundations of the course and emphasizing business with purpose. A third point here would be being aligned with current trends. So there are a lot of course offerings in terms of artificial intelligence, data science, also sustainability, very heavy in finance, with industry professionals, not only PhD professors. So a lot of industry knowledge being shared with the students. And a fourth point would be hands-on all the time. We have a month-long orientation, sharpening soft skills and hard skills, going from communication being a better team player, being a better leader. This month-long orientation culminates with a consulting project in Argentina. So we spent some 10 days in Argentina working with NGOs and helping them to achieve top-line growth or achieve their objectives. We actually have a second consulting project. So Fordham has a campus in London. So during the spring semester in your first year, we traveled to London. We spent some 10, 12 days, not only doing a consulting project now with a big company, but also visiting the city in terms of business. So it's mostly like doing business in London with a consulting project in the middle, very relevant, very well structured. And we see that a lot. It's a business school that is growing, it's doing the right things and has the right mindset. And that's why I decided to join Fordham's Gabelli School of Business.
Yeah, and it sounds like you just got a really international experience where not only are you in a new country, but you're also going to other different countries. And you really hit upon, I think, a lot of really important points and highlights of the program. But I also want to ask, if there are any other just kind of things that we might have missed or skipped over that are highlights that are really important to you personally and your journey in getting into consulting.
Absolutely. So one additional highlight for sure is, although the MBA program is a small size program, we have a huge graduate community with over 1,000 MS students, and we have many clubs. So every single week there are club activities. And from an MBA perspective, that gives you an opportunity to exercise your leadership. So I was a board member of the consulting club in my first year. I became the president of the consulting club in the second year. So just being able to lead the club, propose activities, make them happen, always connecting with alumni in the industry, always connecting with other professionals. Again, highlighting New York City, you are 2 subways from a lot of professionals. It happened with me more than once that I sent an email to an alumni, let's connect, let's have a coffee together. And where are you now? I'm at Fordham. Can you come down to 42nd Street and we can grab a coffee now?
Yeah.
So that actually happened to me twice over these 2 years. And it's a real advantage.
Yeah, totally. And what were some of the other, do you think, advantages or more helpful things in terms of when you were recruiting and trying to get your career? And that is, what are some of the things that you think the Gabelli School provides you that were very helpful in landing your job this summer?
Perfect. So I'd say first, it's relevant coursework. When you are talking to alumni or even with a recruiter, it's important to highlight what you've been seeing, what you've been studying, and how that relates to the industry. Second would be getting access to a career department with seasoned professionals coming from the industry and being able to help you tailor your answers to the interviews. Third, having access to other MBA students looking for the same thing. So when it comes to consulting, that is this component for a case interview. You have to practice a lot. So just having other students with a similar mindset, very collaborative, trying to help you improve your game so they can improve their game as well. So I would say these are 3 main factors. The fourth, of course, being New York City again, and the fifth would be having access to thousands of very supportive alumni that I don't remember any alumni that turned me down and say, no, I'm not going to grab a coffee with you and find your way into the industry. So,
yeah. And then lastly, I think this is a really important question. I'm happy that we have you as an international student because there's a lot of things in flux right now with international MBA applicants from coronavirus, the pandemic, to online courses, to visa issues and getting a job afterwards. So with that kind of mindset of international MBA applicants, what's some of your best advice for somebody who's an international student who wants to study in the United States? What are some steps that they should go through, you think, just in making that path most likely for them to end up where they want to end up?
So first thing is understand the macro level. When I made my decision to come to the US to study, I wasn't sure yet whether I would try to stay here a couple of years or return to Brazil or go elsewhere. And at that point, back in 2017, when I made my decision, everything was more or less stable.
Right.
One thing to keep in mind, and I think it's a real advantage of the Gabelli MBA, is that if you are an international applicant and you are looking to stay in the US a little longer, the Gabelli MBA is a STEM certified program. So you have 24 plus months in addition to the 12 months under the OPT after you graduate. So that's an advantage that we conquered after I joined the program, and I'm happy because of that. From an international applicant perspective, having this visa extension also helps you to land more interviews. Mm-hmm. I could see that when I received the good news and updated my resume, I started landing many more interviews, so that helps a lot. You have to understand also, so every time you're trying to switch careers, that is a difficult quest. I was trying to switch from a decade long of entrepreneurship to consulting, and it's a huge switch, and I was able to make it successful, but I put a lot of effort on it. One other thing, I talk to a lot of Brazilian prospective students all the time, and you have to have the mentality. The MBA, a full-time MBA, it's a job. It's a 9 to 7 p.m. job. And you have to put a lot of effort to be successful and to finish the MBA with high GPA, to land a job and all of that. So be mindful. It's not a 2-year vacation elsewhere. It's a full-time job that requires a lot of commitment.
Yeah, great. And then any other final thoughts? We're getting close to 15 minutes. Any other pieces of advice or final thoughts just that have been pertinent to you and your journey?
So if you're interested in the Fordham Gabelli School of Business, I had a great experience with the program. I highly recommend to anyone that talks to me and say, what do you think about this? Change me as a person. Research the program. You're going to understand why people do that and what happens with them after the program. I became a much more compassionate leader. I learned a lot about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, and how to improve it, how to continuously look to become a better professional, a better person. Mm-hmm. That's important for me. If you're interested in the Gabelli School of Business, research the school, understand what is business with purpose, how that relates to your previous experiences, how that relates to your career goals, and connect with me through LinkedIn. I am very grateful to Fordham's Gabelli School of Business, and I like to be a resource and share everything that happened to me with prospective students.
Great. Thanks very much. Again, this is Guilherme Zaniol, who is a consultant working at a consulting firm in New York City, originally from Brazil, and made the switch not only for country, but also industry that he's going to. And he did it by going to Fordham's Gabelli School of Business, just got his MBA this past spring. Thanks so much.